This is ReadAlignDoAlignCooking.com. My name is Mike Pierce. Welcome to my kitchen and welcome to my home. Today, we're going to brew coffee using a French press. French presses are fantastic pieces of equipment. They don't cost a ton of money and they work really well. Now, the way a French press works is you put your coffee in here and then you cover it in hot water. Either you have an electric hot water kettle like this, or you have some sort of kettle you put on your stove. Either way, doesn't matter, it's the same thing. So what you do is you take one of these, you take the lid off. This is the basic operations. You put in the appropriate amount of coffee. You turn on your hot water kettle or put your kettle on the stove. When it's ready, you pour your water in. You put the lid on. You let it sit for 4 minutes. I do 5 because these clocks in the kitchen don't show seconds. And so I don't know if I'm where I'm at. To me, 5, it's somewhere between 4 and 5. But 4 minutes is technically what you want. And when it's all done, you just press this down. As you can see, it's pushing the grounds to the bottom. And then you get out your coffee, and mug it, and there you go. That's the basic operation. How much coffee to put in? Well, most of them come with something like this. This says 7 grams per cup. So 7 grams of coffee per cup of water. So if this is going to be 2 cups of water, it's 2 of these. However, if you're like me, you make the same amount of coffee every single day. What I found was this thing, which came in a protein powder container, if I round it off full of coffee, it's the right amount. Okay? You'll eventually hit how much coffee, how much water. It doesn't take long to figure it out, assuming you are making the same coffee every single day. Okay? So that's the basic operations. However, I did some research online, and like everything, it can be more complicated. So there's a few things that they suggest. One of them is they say the coffee out of a coffee French press can be a little bitter for 2 reasons. The first reason is because you might let it sit too long. So if you let the coffee and the hot water sit together for a long time, 15 minutes, you're going to have some pretty bitter coffee. So you don't want to do that. 4 or 5 minutes, pour your coffee. If you're not going to use all of this, but you want it, put it in something else, like a carafe, because it'll just get more and more bitter over time. The other reason they say is that the water that comes out of these things, they say, is too hot. Boiling water, they say, is a little too hot. I don't know if that's true or not. So what they suggest is when your hot water kettle clicks off, just wait a minute. Wait about a minute, then pour it in. And they claim that that minute cools it just enough that you won't burn your coffee. I don't do it. I'm not going to do it. I like how I make it. However, if you're finding your coffee is kind of bitter, those are the 2 reasons you might have for why that's the case. And there's some things you can do, right? Brew it for less time, or let your water cool just a little bit before you use it. The next complaint they have is you can get coffee grounds can end up in your coffee, and that's true. And their solution for that is a very complicated and expensive grinder with a special blade. I don't have one. I do have a coffee grinder. I don't really use it much. My solution's a little different. Now, I don't use my coffee grinder. I just buy bags of good coffee that's already pre-ground. I put them in a airtight container, and I have my own blend actually, because I mix two decaf for 1 regular, so I have less caffeine. Anyways, as long as you're not buying espresso ground, because espresso ground, I mean, it's like powder, and the mesh on these things, as you can see, is not perfectly fine. It's fine, but it's not super fine. So as long as you're not buying espresso ground, you're in pretty good shape. So the way I do it to avoid a lot of coffee grounds in my coffee is, because remember, I'm not buying a special grinder, I'm not buying a special grind. This is just the way it is. As long as it's not espresso ground, I don't really care. So the way I do it is I make more coffee than I actually want. So this thing, if you can see, it's kind of curved. Now, every day I make this for this. They go together pretty well. So the way this works is, as you can see, it kind of curves. This is actually how much coffee I want to make. This is how much I'm really making. And that difference, I just I'm not using it all. So I make my coffee, it sits for 4 minutes, 5 minutes. I slowly push this down, push all the grounds to the bottom. I pour my coffee, I'm done. By having that extra coffee in there, I don't do this. This is where you're going to get your grounds. You're trying to get every last drop out. Yeah, you're going to get some grounds. Me, I end up with about this much coffee just at the bottom. Therefore, no grounds. To me, it's a simpler solution. It's cheaper, it's easier, and you can just use regular old coffee. I mean, I'm not using Folgers here. I'm using pretty nice stuff. But I don't have to get too complicated. Okay? That's about it. So let's give it a go. So I'm going to turn on my hot water, which was pretty much ready before we started. Like I said, I'm going to use this thing. And for me, it's about like that. Put that in. Wait for my hot water kettle to click off. And again, I'm not waiting a minute. Just, we got to move things along here. One other thing they mention is that you should stir with a spoon. I'm probably going to do that, but on the down angle camera, I want you to notice how I'm going to pour it. Because if you pour it at the angle, it seems to churn really well, and I don't think you really need to stir it. So here we go. It's clicked off. I'll do it up here, like this. See, I'm hitting the side, and that's causing it to churn. Okay? Going all the way up. I can't even see what I'm doing here. Okay. It's full. Check it there. There are no grounds on top. So I don't think you need to stir. The whole point of stirring is to mix it. It's already been mixed. But if you end up with grounds on top, use a spoon. So I put the lid on. So there we go. Now we wait 4 minutes. It's been 5 minutes by my kitchen clock. And here it is. So all we're going to do, slowly push this down. Again, there's no real hurry. There it is. You kind of want to align the little grill in the front or else it sometimes leaks. And then we pour. Make sure I don't put too much in. There. As you can see, I've got a little left. So I'm not getting any grounds. So my coffee, it's filled to about here. And the reason is, I put milk in mine. So anyways, perfect. That's about it. One very good cup of coffee. It's pretty darn hot. Anyways, tastes very good. Just like I said, there's some things you could try if you think it's a little bitter. Reduce your brew time, let your water rest a bit, whatever. This isn't that complicated, but there are ways to make it better or worse depending on what you like. This is the basics. I hope you liked it. If you liked the video, please like the video. If you like what I'm doing, please subscribe. Thank you so much. Until next time.